What up, guys? AlchemistKirito. I got something nice for you. So, I wanted to react to Salt's post on Twitter. My boy Itachi was talking about it when we playing Marvel Rivals. Y'all got Bonnie Alchemist on right now because just got done playing Marvel Rivals competitive, sweaty, whatever. It's like 5 in the morning right now. I have not been asleep yet, okay? But I heard him here and there talking about it, and I was like, okay, I wasn't really listening that much because I was be playing Marvel Rivals. I was like, let me tap in. I was like, F it, I'll do a video on it. I did this with Sparking Zero, react to some people in the community, opinions and takes about the game we play, and let me know if y'all enjoy this. I know the Sparking Zero community enjoyed it when I did it, so hey, we're gonna do it here. In case you don't know me, if you're a new person here, I'm a veteran at Destiny. I've been playing Destiny since Destiny 1 on release date. Destiny 2, I got over 3,000 hours in it, probably going on to 4,000 now, right? I've been playing this game for years, okay? I'm not just some random person speaking on this. I have credentials. I've been sold my soul to this game, bro. But let's read up what's being said here. What's the take? If you don't know who Salt is, Salt got a lot of world firsts in this game. I believe this man got like 4 world firsts, I believe. Him and his team. But anyway, hi, haven't done one of the I think he's trying to say these in a bit, but going into the Edge of Fate, I would like to give some feedback on where the game is right now, sandbox wise, both for new and in-game players. This is going to be a long read, tagging Destiny 2 team just in case. The main issue I see, okay, to make sure my thing recording. The main issue I see with the game right now is daunting and unfriendly. It is for new players to get into it, or even for casual players, or ones that just want to mess around with fun builds, especially when it comes to in-game. I would say it is daunting for new players. Even though I got some new players that just joined this game literally last year, but I know I was there to guide them. But if you're just a new player playing on your own, I can definitely see you get lost in the game where all the stuff popped up at your face and stuff, and the lack of knowledge and stuff with the game. You got to really do your research on this game to know a lot about it. I can't even lie. I don't know what you mean by casual players and the ones that just want to mess around. I mess around with fun builds all the time in the regular content in the game. The only time I don't mess around with a fun build is if I'm in game content, and the only thing I consider in-game content is contest mode, which only comes once in a blue moon in the Destiny community, and GMs. And even GMs I can fool around a bit, but that's probably skill, right? Anywho, it doesn't seem like Bungie is planning to reset us anytime soon or make a sequel. And if the game is going to continue for years, we need to make sure activities don't keep getting harder and harder for the sake of countering specific power creep. Me personally, I don't feel like the game is getting harder and harder, but it's just from my personal point of view. I feel like the game got very casual now. I feel like people farm Grandmaster, even though Grandmaster would be the easiest, the hardest in-game content PVE. I feel like people farm like it's easy. So literally doing 10-minute record runs like it's a regular goddamn strike. So I don't know. To put it in simpler words, the game is currently strongly increasing HP values to counter crazy ability spam, such as Titans having infinite consecrations, and also highly inflating damage enemies inflict to counter overtone stacking damage resist. Okay, let me know y'all experiencing that in the game. Me personally, I don't feel like I've been noticing enemies with high HP personally. You know, with the artifact and the ability spams, like I said, I guess you don't really notice the high HP value. At least I don't notice it, but y'all let me know in the comments. I don't notice bullet sponges in Destiny. Yeah, I don't. We blitz through most bosses and stuff. I don't know, unless it's contest mode. I don't see no bullet sponges in the game right now, personally. You can see this in many places, but some easy ones are the 2 mini bosses in the new Sunless Cell GM, for example. Take ages to kill if you aren't using top meta options, or on the Dread as a whole, with Strand Subjugators randomly one-tapping you, or Weavers and Attendants doing the same DPS if you aren't stacking any damage resist. Okay, I agree. I 100% agree. I haven't played Sunless Cell GM yet. I think I plan on doing that today. But even in the regular strike of Sunless Cell, those 2 mini bosses in that one room with all the streakers, they tanky in a normal strike. So I can only imagine how swishy they is in GM. So I agree, he got me there. Subjugators, 100%, 100%, 100%. Contest mode and master mode difficulty and Sunday Doctrine definitely made me hate the Dread a lot. Like it takes a while to get me pissed off, and that was getting me pissed off. The Strand Subjugator should not be one-shotting you just because they get enraged, and then when they get enraged, they immune to CC. So like, yeah, they can't freeze them or anything like that. So like, him just doing a quick jab and you just dead, nah, insane. And then like I said, they bullet sponges unless you're using strand damage on them or stasis damage on them, because they take more damage from that. They're weak to that. Or using like microcosm or super, they just too tanky. Weavers, I don't think Weavers are tanky, but Weavers should not be able to just run up on you with their little dark shotgun and then be able to shotgun you just dead instantly. That's just insane. I don't know who attendants are. I don't be paying attention. Attendants, only 2 names that stuck in my head is Weavers and Subjugators. Without a doubt. If you don't have damage resist on, DR on, they killing you. They do insane DPS to you. It's a wrap. That to me, but also to many others, and especially less experienced players, is not fun. Yeah, it's not fun at all when it comes to those 2 enemies. The game should not try to solve power creep by power creeping activities. Otherwise, you end up making 95% of the sandbox feel terrible. I don't know. I don't know about that statement. I feel like if we're power crap, you gotta equalize the activities in the game to meet our power creep. But I also feel like what Bungie's lack at is gradual power creep in the game. So like right now we got prismatic and stuff in the game, and instead of Bungie saying, okay, the only area in the game that's gonna be power creep to equate to prismatic power creep is gonna be the strikes and activities on the Pale Heart, because that's what we got the abilities and stuff from. So we're gonna make those the hardest activities, so it don't feel like prismatic is that strong. We're gonna throw something at you strong to contend against prismatic, right? But no, we got prismatic, and then they power crept everything in the game except like, you know, EDZ and stuff, but like they just power crept everything to try to meet you there, but it still didn't meet you there, which is the problem, because now it's like, oh, I feel like I'm forced to use prismatic, because if I'm not, I feel a little bit underpowered unless I'm like stacking myself into like the crazy artifact perks, right? Or using a broken exotic. That's the only reason I feel like I'm power crept on the other subclass compared to prismatic just being broken on its own without the artifact. This isn't easy to solve. Scroll down for you guys to make sure. Okay. This isn't easy to solve, but I do think certain changes could be made to mitigate the issue. But before getting into this, and to hopefully stop at least some uninformed comments, I want to point out that this is not a convo about the difficulty of the game. I do not think the game should be harder. Quite the opposite for the most part. We had some of the hardest content the past couple of years with Salvation's Edge and Vesper Host Day 1, despite the insane power creep. So that should be clear. And Sunday Doctrine. I feel like Sunday Doctrine was definitely up there with Vesper Host. Vesper Host being a little bit harder with all the electricity in the final boss room, but that freaking Streaker boss, Lockset boss in Sunday Doctrine, yeah, that was a DPS check and a half, bro. Still beat it though. Still beat. What I think we need when it comes to damage taken, the difference between having DR and not having DR needs to drastically go down, and with that, so does the damage certain overtuned enemies inflict. It does not feel good to get one shot by some random ad, aka Weavers. And it also feels weird to face tank a full room taking 0 damage because you have amplified frost armor, 100 resilience, etc. Now, I disagree with the last part. I feel like since Destiny is an RPG game, they stated it want to be an RPG game with the build crafting and stuff and all that type of stuff. When you play an RPG game, the power fantasy is getting as many buffs on your character as possible to feel like you're a god, you're broken, right? So I feel like if I create a unique build that gives me amplified frost armor, woven mail, restoration, devour stuff, I find a build that can give me all of that in one build, I deserve to walk through a room with 0 damage because I found the build crab that works with that. Now, should there be hard-end content in the game where it's not possible? Of course. That's where GM's supposed to come into play. And like master mode raids and stuff, right? So when you do the harder-end content, you get rewarded for doing the harder-end content with those broken builds. But as of right now, we don't have in-game content in the game where if we do use said broken build, we don't get rewarded for the same effort. So like if I'm using a build that's using all that resistance stuff, there's just be something in the game that's so hard and difficulty that when I use said build, it's the only reason I can survive because I am using said build. But on the other hand, because of me having to work that hard, I get some amazing loot at the end. But we don't got nothing in the game like that for right now. But I feel like that's the fun thing about Destiny. You Space Magic Johnson, okay? You're there to have fun, right? I think everybody have fun in the video game when they know they're free and strong and can breeze through content. Because, like Bungie said, they want you to feel like you actually put some type of time into the game when you hop on the game. Whether for 30 minutes or an hour, you got something out of it, some type of progress. So, I feel like I should be able to come home, have fun with a fun build that make me walk around like I'm a god. Like I got the actual replay in a freaking GameCube and feel like, oh yeah, I'm having fun. You know, some people want to be... Being super powerful is fun sometimes, okay? It's not like, oh my god, this is boring, I just do the same thing over and over again. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, then change builds. Just change builds, okay? If I know I got my one meta broken build on hunters that I know I can be killed on. It could be any content in the game, but I don't use it a lot because I want to have fun. Simple as that. But I will break it out if I'm struggling and have to do something that's hard in content. I was just either strongly tuning down most DR sources. I don't know about that. Or even better, tuning down the way they stack. I don't know about that either. The second option would be preferred so that more casual players that don't fully grasp the system could still get strong benefits by running DR options. But it wouldn't be able to be abused by those that know how to. Plus, it would not force devs to overtune encounters or design mechanics that bypass DR like the Lightning and Puppeteer, which by the way is terrible out of visual tail in my opinion. I agree. Worst thing about Vesper Host is dying from the lightning striking. Freaking terrible, bro. Freaking terrible, right? So I agree with that one. I don't know. I love the fact with Destiny that I get to do the math. This comes from someone that loves to build craft. I love the fact that I get to do the math and try to figure out fun ways to stack certain buffs together to make myself powerful in a build. I don't feel like the only thing you should be able to stack in this game is weapon stacks and buffs. You know what I'm saying? I feel like damage resist deserves to have its own area in the game as well when it comes to stacking them together to get a buff. So I don't like the option about, oh, we only get one damage resist source and then, you know, that make it more simpler for casual players and stuff. Most content in the game, you don't need damage resist on unless you're doing hard end content. I'm gonna be honest. You can run through a regular strike or regular story mission stuff without having any type of kit in damage resist. Because even if you do the only one option of damage resist, now you're just making it that people are gonna go to the damage resist that's the highest in the game. And the highest damage resist in the game would be like Woven Mail, right? Or if you're running stasis, then it'll be stasis higher, right? And then people wouldn't run anything else. People wouldn't run Amplified. People wouldn't run Overshield. I mean, I guess Overshield would be the highest, right? But they don't stay on the longest. But like, people want to run that type of stuff because only one damage resist work at the time. So I don't agree with that one. I believe every RPG game should have something that you can stack damage resist to make yourself tankier in the game. On top of this, I also think some really overtuned instances of enemy damage could be tuned down across the board. I already mentioned some related to the Dread, but there are definitely more across the game. Most importantly though, this will ensure they aren't forced to add more of those issues going forward. So I guess what he's saying is, if you decrease the damage resist option, then we can decrease the enemy damage in the game as well. But I feel like that's just making the game way more simplistic. And I think a game should never be too simplistic. I feel like there should always be some type of skill curve in a game that reward players that do think outside the box and spend more time to the game to learn the mechanics and stuff. I feel like the game should always have a skill curve. If it loses skill curve and you make it more simplistic, more casual friendly, then more veterans like me will not enjoy the game that much because it's just too bare bone, so to speak. Side note, I agree that melee builds need some damage resist, and I love the concept of strong active DR. It has a good skill gap to it and it doesn't make you invincible. By active damage resist, I mean while you are casting ability or shortly after. Yeah, like Tempest Strike. After you pop Tempest Strike, you get like 75% damage resist for like 4 seconds, right? Bungie has already added it to plenty of melees, but I would love to see even more of it. The only active DR that could use going down a bit is Sword and Glaive block. It's not super game breaking usually since you gotta hold the action, but in my opinion, the concept of on-demand invincibility is just wrong. I agree. Just being able to pull your glaive out and boom, you can't die. I agree. And then swords with Titans with the exotic on, they just invincible. I agree, but then it's also like the trade-off. Yeah, I'm invincible with the glaive now and the sword, but now your speed run, you just added more time to your run. Instead of a run that would have took like 10 minutes, now just went up to 30 minutes. You feel me? So there's a trade-off, and I feel like if the sword and the glaive didn't have that, you would have no reason to use those. It will be put us back into the meta where swords were broken if you just had to buff the damage back up on swords. It throws back into the meta where swords were busted, and every boss fight, people just pull the sword out and just everybody just starts swinging with the swords to do DPS, right? I feel like swords and glaives in a good spot right now where blocking is essential for that gameplay style. That's the only way it can be used. Because let's be honest, if you're not adding down the glaive, people are not going to use glaives. People are not going to use glaives at all if you're using the if you just take away the glaive block being invincible. It's not happening. It's just not happening. I only use glaive because of the blocking, so I can block shoot. Outside of that, not happening. Just not. When it comes to damage re-inflict and enemies' HPs instead, I would say the weapon sandbox is not in a bad state. Heavies are mostly fine, specials are a bit undertuned when it comes to bosses at major damage. Specials being strong is fun. Look at Lord of Wolves right now. Facts, they have not touched it. I guess Bungie okay with Lord of Wolves being that strong. If you haven't used Lord of Wolves yet, get to using it because Bungie have not went on and tuned that yet. But I guess because everybody not using it, they're not tuning it yet. Go figure, right? Since you gotta get close up and use it. And it's not a lot of bosses you can do that to. Of course, that's overtuned, but you get the point. It is fun to have effective weapons without having to worry about ammo 24/7, or to be able to run the eagle's edge. Okay, there go the speedrunner right there talking. The elitist. Cause I'm one of the ones I don't care for eagle edge for speedrunners. I truly don't. But I'm a person, I don't want to speedrun using a sword as my heavy. I just love enjoying having fun with the game. But I know people enjoy having fun zipping through the air with eager edge, so teach your own, you know, whatever the fun factor for that person, right? Primaries on the other end, especially legendary ones, are terrible against most things, but they have been needing master buffs for years. I agree. I can't even imagine the last time I used a legendary primary that often in PVE. Usually I'm usually crutching on a exotic weapon, or I'm spamming a double special build. I have Tina on, and then I'll just run whatever other fusion rifles, whatever on, and then the whole run I just rocking special ammo weapons and heavy for damage, and I barely touch primary because it's just not doing that much damage when it comes to GMs and stuff. So I highly agree on that one. What is bad though, and what makes primary feel useless, is the fact that the certain specific builds provide infinite high damage abilities, and HP values are starting to get really inflated to counter those. High damage abilities are fine, but it should be limited in use. Example, a solar hunter getting a melee back on a kill is fine. A titan clearing 25 majors with 1 consecration and fully charging super transcendence in 15 seconds from 0, basically getting another melee 8+ charges easily is not. Basically casting Glacial Quake or Blade Fury refunds all your melee charges. Like, why? The only situation I can think of he talking about with 25 majors with 1 consecration is Vesper hosts the final boss with the clones, the puppeteer. Because people do Thundercrash, then consecrate, kill the clone, then be able to Thundercrash again, then consecrate, kill the clone, then Thundercrash again. They get like 3 Thundercrashes off in 1 DPS phase with her. That's the only thing I think about him talking about. I guess that's OD, but let's talk about it. We used to be in a state in Destiny where people was like, Destiny's boring because it's too balanced. We love being broken and showing off our space magic. So people have fun going in there consecrating all day and stuff and feeling powerful. That's the space magic. That's the fun thing about Destiny that you can't get from any other game. But if you don't like that gameplay style, you can always just change to a different build in your class. You know, I got multiple different builds on my hunter that I use for fun and for harder in content, and I just switch it up on whatever day I'm feeling, and I usually make a build accustomed to the artifact so that I'm not using the same build every season over and over again. I build my builds towards the artifact to change my gameplay style and loop inside that game for the episode so I don't get bored. I will expand on Super and Transcendence Regen later on, since I consider it top 3 PvE balancing issues right now. True, it's broken. Specific builds, infinite high damage abilities. Yeah, we got a lot of abilities that are gonna do a lot of damage. I ain't gonna lie. I got a whole build where my gun not even the main idea there. It's just my abilities. Shoot, even hunters, they rolling and punching with liar handshake and Caliban. We just chase that punch all day while we go invisible, and we kill any goddamn high name target in the game stuff with our melees. Our abilities really are cracked. I can't even lie there. To try and mitigate this, I would suggest to decently buff most primary abilities. I mean, especially against non-red bar. And by the way, on his point about that, he said he okay with like the Solar Hunter knife getting a kill and giving you your ability back. If you nerfed it, it's just gonna make hunters on top with the whole rolling all day and punching. That's all it's gonna be with Liar and Caliban, and then people gonna go to hunters over Titans. To try and mitigate this, I would suggest to decently buff most primaries, especially against non-red bars. Facts. They should still, of course, be worse than a special or a heavy. Don't get me wrong, but they could be doing, I don't know, 1.2. I mean, one half or 1/3 of the damage, not like 1/20th. Specials need buffs, but not anything crazy. And please give glaives like double damage on the shots. I don't even really like them, but none would even use them seriously if their primary shot is terrible. Yeah, but I mean, the whole point of glaive is swinging it, right? It's literally, Bungie been buffing up the melee on glaives for the longest. Like, it's literally meant for melee and not shooting. Yeah, and yeah, stop making bullet sponge enemies. It usually doesn't even make the game harder. It's just boring depending on the build. No point in making a GM enemy have super high HP if I can just sit in the back of the map with a scout. Add tanky enemies. I mean, yeah, you can sit in the back of the map for scout or a bow and beat the GM solo or whatever, taking your time. But again, that goes back to, you got to trade for that. Yeah, you stand in the back of a scout rifle, but now you finna be in that GM for a good 40 minutes when you could have finished it in 15 minutes if you was more confident, put on a good build, and rush the enemies, play more aggressive. And playing with those type of builds that do finish in 15 minutes, they tend to have a high DPS payout when it comes to these high HP enemies. If you nerf the HP because you want to nerf our abilities, then you really don't change anything. All you did was just add extra steps. I'm gonna be honest, you still gonna be in that GM the same amount of time, because even though you nerfed our ability damage and uptime, you nerfed the enemy's health, so we still gonna get it done in the same amount of time. Unless you just nerfing the ability uptime in general, but there's always going to be a build out there that just make it that you get your abilities back quick. Always. There's always going to be a way to lean into it. No matter how many times Bungie try to attack the situation, we always come up with a new way to get our abilities back in some type of quick time with build crafting. Whether it's with certain fragments that people wasn't using but now using, whether it's a certain exotic, whether it's a certain buff like Devour, getting grenade energy off a kill, whether it's mods in the armor, with not firepower, grenade kickstart and stuff. You know, exotic perks, we all can find a way regardless, even if you do some type of way to try to nerf the uptime on ability. It's just not, that's just how Bungie is built. That's how the structure is built for the characters, to be honest. The gameplay abilities is a weird one because the sandbox is just so doomed in that regard. It is, exactly. They nerfed regular regen methods, exactly, especially armor related ones, which ended up only making worse those builds. They were actually pretty bad, which ended up only making worse, I don't gotta be a typo, only making worse those builds that were already pretty bad, while the top builds that had infinite powerful abilities just due to unrelated effects were mostly untouched. Exactly, that's what I was just saying. Like, people gonna make a new way regardless of getting their ability back quick. The main thing that needs to happen here is, if we want to keep those high damage abilities, specifically tune them to not have infinite uptime. Examples: make speaker sights strongly lower your grenade regen. True, but then people using Benevolence, ain't that just gonna counter it? Because Benevolence making your regen go up a lot. Make Transcendence only give you 1 melee charge on cast. Okay. Instead of 3, I get it. Remove the ability to refund all your Titan abilities on super cast. Hunter do the same thing with grapple. If we go into Silk Strike, we get all our grapple grenades back after we pop our super. The truly broken ones aren't really many, and if those strong abilities won't have permanent uptime, there will be no need to add an ogre in the GM that can withstand 30 Synthos consecration. What GM you in? What GM you in that an ogre is taking 30 Synthos consecrations? Ain't no way. He gotta be just over exaggerated just to be funny. Have to be. There is no ogre in the GM that's eating 30 Synthos consecrations. Someone drop the link in the comments if there is. Drop a link. I need to see that is. Ain't no way it is. Ain't no way. On top of that, some of the armor mods can be rebuffed. Facts. So that less strong builds that don't have a cheesy way to get infinite uptime can shine more. I agree with that. Very quick side note, but I really hope they reconsider their announcement for Armor 4.0. Start being reworked is cool. Stats going up to 200 is cool. Stats giving RNG chances of getting extra grenades on melees is not cool. Imagine you are in a serious PVE fight. I've been said this to my friends now, and you lose to your opponent because they get lucky and throw 2 grenades at you. Hope they end up deciding for a different effect that does not involve RNG. Yeah, I agree. Most likely Bungie will make it that don't work in PvP, because Bungie already is against ability spamming in PvP. They want more gunplay, and then abilities like your right hand kit, your little Batman kit, utility belt, whatever. So Bungie most likely made that won't be even enabled inside PvP, right? And I doubt you'll be able to get 200 in that in PvP and still be able to have like enough recovery and stuff. I just doubt it, right? But I feel like just as a whole, I just feel like Bungie should be a little bit more unique with the 200 stack. If I get my discipline 200 stack, I do not want my grenade just me getting RNG for a second grenade. It'll make build crafting a little bit fun, I guess, because then you can be like, oh, I got an infinite grenade build. But I would prefer, if I get 200 discipline, you do something unique, like, oh, 200 discipline, your grenade evolved now. You got a super incendiary grenade now. So now the super incendiary grenade, instead of it scorching the enemies, when you throw it, it ignites one of the enemies. You know what I'm saying? Something unique and cool, not just, oh, you get RNG on a second grenade. That's not cool enough. You gotta be a little bit more innovative, in my personal opinion, for me to lean into that a bit more, instead of me just saying, oh, I got more resources. Now let's talk about damage-based regen, such as super and transcendence regen. Damage-based super regen was introduced in Season of the Lost, I believe, and to this day, I would consider it the top 5 worst changes that ever happened in Destiny's history. Anything that gives you resources without requiring some form of action usually ends up being a balancing issue. Having to kill enemies or take trade-offs to get energy was cool. You do X action, you gain Y benefits. Now you can cast your super at the start of a damage phase, DPS, and by the end of it, you might have gotten your super back with 0 investment on your end. On top of this, due to this way it's coded, which is one of the worst systems that I've ever seen, certain damage systems give you insane regen while certain others give almost zero. I agree. But this goes back to the whole fun factor thing. Are we really complaining in PvE about me getting my super back quicker? No, I want to feel strong. I want that space magic, bruh. If I'm finishing the DPS phase, getting my super back to be able to do it again, you know how fun it feels to shoot a Celestial Nighthawk, do DPS, and then before DPS end, I got my Celestial Nighthawk again to shoot the boss one more time, and then seeing a high DPS number I got at the end of the DPS phase, that feels amazing. That feels fun. Take that away, take the fun factor away a little bit. There's a such thing of a game being too balanced takes the fun factor out the game. There is such thing as balancing the game too much that it just feels boring. Sometimes you need that chaos in a game for it to be fun. Sometimes you need that chaos. If you don't have that chaos factor to make the game feel cool and sometimes wacky, it's just not a fun game. It's like, okay, this game balanced, but not having that much fun anymore, you know? I love being able to have builds where I can spam super and spam transcendence and stuff. It's fun. It's fun seeing the enemies blow up kabloomies and stuff and killing and championing very quick and stuff. That's fun. Balancing it will make it will take that fun factor away. And I don't know if I'm willing to trade fun for balance. I don't know if I'm willing to take that. Now, is that making some content easy? Yeah. But I feel like then Bungie should probably figure out a different way on handling that instead of just saying, yeah, just balance it. Now, someone would say, okay, now you just lean into the argument, power creep the game with us. For casuals, yeah, that's bad because they may not have all the equipment they need to be broken like that, right? But then I feel like that's something Bungie gotta lean into when it comes to how casuals get entered into this game. I truly feel like, and I think they did this in Destiny 1, I'm not 100% sure, I gotta remember, but I truly feel like every planet should have its own level to it. Instead of Bungie keep raising the soft level cap and then every enemy just at our level. If I'm someone that beat the full game of Destiny 2 and up to date with the expansions and stuff, I should be able to walk around Cosmodrome and the enemies, when they shoot at me, I literally take no damage. Like, the enemy looking at me like, why are you even here? You're level 99, we level 1 enemies. Why is you here? That's how Bungie should scale their game. So when you are doing activities in like Pale Heart or something like that, the enemies are power crept to our level because those enemies are coded to know these people got prismatic, they spam abilities all day, so we need to make sure we coming at them with the same amount of power and health and stuff because we know what they got. I just feel like Bungie needs to set up a linear route so that when new players join the game, when they start the game, they stuck in Cosmodrome, and then as they level up their gear and they equipment and stuff, then they graduate to Neomuna. And then after they get stronger with more build crafting and stuff, and they finish up Neomuna and stuff, then they graduate to Pale Heart. And then when they get all the equipment from Pale Heart and stuff, now they know like, oh, I'm broken now. I go back to Cosmodrome, them enemies, that's a fly, they can't even hurt me. It should be like a real MMO game where it's like when you level 99, a level 1 enemy can't hurt you. And then in Pale Heart, it's like, oh, level 99 can only do damage here. If you're level 50, you can't do no damage here. You should get that feeling where they had it in Destiny 1 where if you wasn't leveled up, you may stumble across a lost sector, and you walk in that lost sector and you shoot an enemy, it say immune. And it's at that moment you knew, oh crap, I'm not supposed to be here. Those enemies say immune. I can't even damage them because of how big the light level gap is. I don't even know if Bungie even have that in the game anymore where if an enemy is higher light level than you, you can't deal damage to them anymore. I just think the enemies just do more damage to you and you do less damage to them. But there used to be a time, if there was a certain level gap between you and the enemy, it would say immune. And you were not able to do damage to them. And I feel like Bungie need to go back to that formula so that when Bungie do give us more stuff in our kit to have fun and be broken and stuff, Bungie also challenged us with new content in game to go against us like that. And then that would introduce Bungie being more of an MMO RPG type of game where basically, oh, now we can't add more armor rarity and stuff in the game because only the people that played majority of the other content, they can go into the in-game content. We know that they done all this stuff, so let's challenge them and let them get some great loot and stuff from it. So then when you're in the tower, you may look at somebody and be like, oh, that man got some, I don't know, some black, what's another word? We already got legendary and exotic in the game. That man got some black supreme gear on, whatever, right? Oh my god, how long he been playing this game? I can't wait to get like him. He got his whole armor dripped out with dragons just floating around him and stuff. Like, I want to get like that, you know. Some feelings you will get from playing another online game like World of Warcraft and stuff, right? And him with the super thing, yeah, that's why people use damage over time weapons and damage rotations and phases, because if I shoot Wither Horde or a low signal or some crap like that at the boss, I know for a fact I'm getting my super again by the end of the DPS phase because of how much super energy I get from it. Same thing with like shooting a fusion rifle. I just know it. Made up example because I don't know the actual numbers. If sniper right now is meant to give 2% on hit, a fusion rifle will give 2% times whatever number of the bolts that it shoots out. Cost of region is purely based on, but they had the same base scaler. Yes, there is some scaling tied damage buffs and stuff, but I won't make it overcomplicated. Aegis has a good video on it if you are curious. What this basically means is that certain weapon types or abilities end up giving you your full super in 10 seconds just for damaging a boss, which isn't a trade-off. That's your main objective. True, you didn't have to work for it, you just did what you're supposed to do at that moment, while others don't. And that is both a balancing issue, called the players are strongly suggested not to run those weaker region options, and also a power creep issue because players can get basically infinite super by abusing the system with SMGs, DOT, etc. Like I said, yeah, I agree. That's why I say my idea would work better. Do a linear roadmap, level 1, level 100. Level 100 people, they you know, do the goddamn high-end content that are level 100 enemies, and then a level 1 casual player stuff, they work their way up to that point until their skill level get that high, and then we wouldn't have to worry about stuff like that, because when you're level 100, Bungie assuming you're gonna get your super stuff quick, so then they adjust enemies to meet said requirement and criteria. The reason why I'm only against that whole damage over time SMG thing, because unless Bungie do nerf the enemies HP and stuff, when you're doing stuff like contest mode and stuff, sometimes the only way you're getting past that DPS check on bosses and stuff is if you get some super back quick. If you abuse the system with SMGs and damage over time and stuff. It had become such a damage cycle formula that you have to use these things to meet the damage checks in contest mode. And contest mode is the hardest stuff in the game. Without abusing those systems, it would be damn near impossible to do contest mode. It really would. In contest mode, you see people using Consecrate, Titan, Prismatic. In contest mode, you see people abusing DOT weapons to get their super back quick and stuff. You seeing people hot swap to get past the damage check. Like, Bungie would have to nerf the difficulty in the game with contest mode and stuff to appease to getting rid of those things. Or contest mode would just be impossible. It really will. Casuals wouldn't even be able to just go in contest mode and try to do it for the first try. On top of all of this, something that many don't consider is how this impacts the hardest in the game. With regen being hit based and not actually damage based, if enemies have more HP and you need more or stronger hits to kill them, your regen will absolutely skyrocket in those situations. Facts. This is why you see players getting their full supers / transcendence in one consecration when doing a GM. True. While it doesn't do anything anywhere near as broken in regular play. Yep. This should not be the case, and I think we can agree that even if this system is to be kept, killing an acolyte in a GM or in a patrol should result in the same super being regen. You being under level should not mean more super is being regen on a similar HP pool. I agree. But like I said, that's why I think they should lean to the idea I said. The whole level 1, level 100 type thing. That's how most RPG games keep their game balanced, and that's how most RPG games keep their stuff balanced and throw more challenges at you on a power creep level to meet your power creep so that it don't feel like a power creep. You need the game to gradually get more difficult as you get stronger. If I'm on Cosmodrome, I'm expecting the AI to be stupid and not know anything. And then when I go to EDZ, I'm expecting them to be a little bit smarter, but not all there. And then when I go to Dreaming City, I'm expecting there to be a big difference between Dreaming City and EDZ. Right now, it feels like everything in the game is on the same level. I can go to Cosmodrome right now and still die. The AI is a little bit stupider on Cosmodrome for the casual players, the new players I mean. But like, it's a dang shame that you can go from Europa and go to Neomuna and it's a completely different atmosphere. Why isn't it like that on every planet? The hardest planets on the game right now is Neomuna and Paleheart, because for some reason, no matter what, when we go there, the enemies are higher level than us for some reason. They just have a red sword over their name for some reason. Don't know why, but that's what it is, right? We need more of that, but on a more gradual level on each destination. So as someone does story mode and gradually get more gear and stuff, the game evolves with them. And then we wouldn't have a power creep situation, because when you finally get to being broken with your builds and stuff, the game is meeting you on the same level because it's expecting you to be broken like that. Contest mode is so beautiful because contest mode, Bungie uses a different AI system on the enemies compared to GMs, making it that the enemies are smarter. When the enemies get blind, they immediately run behind cover. You know, even though they're blind, don't know how they're doing it, don't know how they seeing where the wall is at, but the moment you blind them, they immediately run behind cover. The moment they know it's too many of them overpowering you, they start rushing you more when you're not paying attention. When you paying attention to another enemy, the other enemies are pushing forward to get closer to you to melee you. The AIs are smarter in contest mode, and I feel like those AIs should be in the game naturally in GMs, so that when you are using broken builds and stuff like this, the enemies are meeting you halfway to add that challenge, so that you do need this ability spam and stuff to compete, or the enemy's gonna wreck you. You feel me? That's why people use prismatic Titan and stuff in contest mode, because they feel like you need to use it in order to compete. If you don't, then the enemies are gonna wreck you, and then you have to have some high-end build crafting on you to be able to compete with those type of things. I don't think the system needs to be completely scrapped, but it for sure needs to be reworked to actually be damage based, be somewhat consistent between. Wait, did I already read that? No, I didn't. Okay. Consistent between difficulty options, and be somewhat consistent between difficulty options, and most importantly, be consistent between weapon types and abilities. Of course, more tuned to the lower end. You should never end the damage phase with more than 50% of your super bag if you cast it at the start. This will also be proxy partially fixing Prismatic Titan, because not having infinite transcendence uptime by just doing one melee and throwing a glacial nade would at least make you think about your melees a little bit. Of course, if all this ends up happening regen based on kills and regen based on time, we need to go up a bit to compensate. True. He brings up Prismatic Titan a lot in this longer tweet post of his, but I truly believe that Titan's not the only one that got a broken build. I feel like Titans got their infinite consecration and they broken prismatic build. Hunters got they infinite. It's on my channel. Check it out. Meta Hunter prismatic build. Literally the only build. It's crazy. I'm saying this right now because there's literally people out there that don't think hunters have an in-game build at all. They truly think hunters have no in-game build. They don't have a strong prismatic build. It's kind of ridiculous. They think the same thing for Warlock. They truly think Titans are the only one with the prismatic consecration build that's broken, and truly believe Titans are only strong also with the arc bolt charge. They literally think Titans are the only one, which is ludicrous. And this comes from a hunter main, and my channel literally is only hunter builds. Literally, hunters got 2 broken prismatic builds. We can put on Liar Handshake and Caliban class item on, and we literally can punch and melee enemies to death, get our health back, and keep going invisible non-stop without the enemies ever being able to track us because we keep going invisible. Just put on a 1-2 punch shotgun and you're golden, right? We got that one that's just like Consecrate. We just spamming abilities all day. And then we also got our other one where all you gotta do is have Velocity Baton with Attrition Orb on it, and have your class item on when you throw your grenade. You get Wolf and Mail, and then just like a Titan with Helm of Emos Light Spirit of Helm of Emos Light on your class item. Put the same thing on Hunter, and the same thing for Warlock. They got a class item rocking with Helm of Emos Light, and literally we spam our ability just as much as Titans, and just get the job done just as much the same. The Hunters, our build focus on, we spam our abilities all day, get Transcendence all day, and we can't die. We just spamming our abilities all day and killing enemies in the room, while Restoration going on, Wolf and Mail going on, Void Overshield going on, Amplify going on. We just killing everything by spamming our abilities all day. Spamming Ascension, spamming our Threaded Spike all day. That's literally all we do in our build. And then Grapple Melee. We'll unravel everything. Don't need the artifact. We just got that broken build. Same through Titan, spamming Consecration all day, clear the room. It just worked. Warlocks, Lightning Surge all day. It just worked. I think the main issue is Helm of Emos Light. Helm of Emos Light is busted. There's literally no situation where you shouldn't be using Helm of Emos Light on Prismatic. It's just no situation. It's just too good. Yeah, but Titans aren't the only broken one. There are plenty. If you don't believe me, check my channel. I got a lot. I only do Hunter main builds over here. If you're a Hunter main and you really believe we don't have anything going on, subscribe to the channel. Go check out the Destiny 2 and content playlist. Look at all my builds. Playlist on the channel. Hunters are busted. Okay, we got plenty of busted, but we got a meta strand build, meta void build, meta prismatic build. You're truly delusional if you truly believe hunters don't have any broken in-game content. You're delusional. Okay, it's just like the situation where people people are only majority talking about Titan because Titans are the majority class being used in PVE right now. It's just like PvP. People only talk about hunters in PvP because it's the majority of the class base inside PvP. But Warlocks and Titans have broken stuff in PvP as well, but hunters are the main focus. There's more of them you see seen, and in PvE, hunters and Warlocks have broken builds as well, just like Titans, but majority of players are on Titans in PvE, so that's all you see. They all got some broken stuff. Anywho, Okay, we are at the end. I didn't really discuss anything too specific outside of completely broken stuff like LOW. My mind not working right now, so I don't know. Lord of Wolves, Speaker Sight, or Prismatic Titan, because I feel like this broad discussion covers almost everything without going in depth. Friendly reminder that Bungie does not make changes because I asked so, but I think even if just some of this feedback could be received before the next expansion, that could benefit the game plenty. As always, feel free to discuss down here and keep it civil. Same here. Comment below what you feel. Keep it civil. I'll try to reply as many like I do. Same. I'll try to reply to many of y'all as well. I'm not an enemy. I just want the best for the game, and I would love to see it be both more approachable and varied in strategies while providing content for all type of players. Thanks for reading it. If you got here, I think I said a lot in this video. The video went long. There's like a little vibe you can listen to while you exile, something like that. Or you know, yeah, listen to whatever you want. I said a lot during this, breaking it down while I was here. But my closing statement, I would say some of the stuff he said is valid, but also some of the stuff he said I don't agree with, because you still got to think about, you want the game to be fun. Everybody not here to be a try hard, so we don't want the game to be stale and too balanced. I think if you make the game stale and a little too balanced, you won't get that fun fantasy feeling of I'm playing a fictional game where I'm in space with superpowers and I'm fighting against aliens. You want to keep that power fantasy, and that was one of the things people hated when Destiny 2 first came out. When they changed the sandbox, it was like, oh my god, I don't feel powerful anymore. I feel too watered down. I don't feel like I'm using space magic like that anymore. I'm barely using them. I'm barely getting my abilities. I feel like I'm tickling these enemies. And what Bungie had to do, they had to add the Go Fast patch update, and it changed the game back to what it used to in Destiny 1 and added on to it and made it better. I feel like you just can't balance the game too much, or people ain't gonna have that much fun. I love spamming my abilities in Prismatic all day. I love using my super and stuff all day. That's fun to me. I feel like I'm a god because I am one. I'm over here, I killed multiple guys already in this game. I'm a god slayer, for crying out loud. Literally the title in the game. I'm a god slayer, so I feel like I should have god powers. I literally resurrect from the dead. I can't die. So I feel like I should meet those powers. So even though I agree with him on some case with the balancing in the game, I feel like some stuff need to stay unbalanced, keep the game chaotic, just for people to have fun in the game still, to be able to have them good moments like, oh my god, I just used my super 3 times, this build is busted. That's a good feeling. When you finally find it, oh my god, I'm invincible right now. That's a good feeling. It's fun. You get to build craft in this game, what makes this game fun. You don't have to always use the busted build or Prismatic Titan slamming all day. I be in PVE for fun sometimes, and I rarely see Titans using their consecrate build, because they been there, done that. They don't want to use it no more. It's not that fun, so they're not going to use it. And it's just like me as a hunter. You barely see hunters rolling and punching things all day in Prismatic, because, you know, been there, done that, you know. If I pull it out one of the days, because it's been a while, I'm bored, but been there, done that, you know. That's the point of build crafting. But I feel like the best change, like I said in this video, would be Bungie adding a linear roadmap in this game of leveling. Everybody start from a level 1 area, and this will work. This will be good for the new light players, the new players, and the casuals, so they can gradually learn more about the game along the way. Make it like it's telling a story and making them feel like they're on a journey. In Destiny 1, the one good thing Bungie did was your journey was linear. Everybody knew in Destiny 1, first planet you started off was Earth. You was on Earth, first planet you started off on. And then what after that? After you did everything on Earth, you got your level to a certain point, Bungie's like, okay, you hit like level 9 or whatever. Now it's time for you to go to the next planet. And when you got to that next planet, enemies were stronger, enemies attack differently. There was a new enemy faction you never seen before. They do different moves. Now you're evolving with the game. So you went from Earth to the moon. Then what did you do after the moon? After the moon, it was like, okay, you got to like level 15. Now it's time for you to go to a new planet with new enemies you never seen before. On Earth, it was Fallen. On Moon, it was the Hive. And now we're finna send you to Venus. We're against the Vex. You never seen them before. We're finna have you fight against the Vex. Now you're learning these new mechanics of the Vex and doing these new missions. They higher level than you. You can't go in other areas too soon because you will die. Your level not there, and now you got to kill enemies to get your level up. And once you got your level up, then you're able to go back to that old area that you just died at because the enemies was immune. Now you can check out what's in there and get the loot and stuff. And then after you did Venus, guess what? Now it's finna throw you into Mars. And while you're doing this, you're learning more about the story, the world around you, the stranger, and all that type of stuff, the Black Guard and stuff. Each planet was sending you on a story to a new planet based on the level that it was giving to you. And everybody knew in Destiny 1, the hardest planet was Mars. You went to Mars, you fighting the Cabal. That's where you go to the Black Garden. This is where the harder missions was, the tanks and stuff. Everybody knew that. I feel like Bungie need to leave their free mindset of you can go wherever you want to go when you join the game. Just finna introduce you to this ish. I think they need to throw players on a locked journey where they gotta slowly level up and get gear and stuff from Cosmodrome to EDZ to the moon. So they feel like it's a journey. So every time they play the game, they're making progress. It feels linear. They see a new destination as they get stronger and they learn more and more about the game. I think they need to go back to that mindset in Destiny 1. So whenever someone joins the game, they can experience it as a whole with the game telling the story. This is why they should never voted content. Am I right? And then when it comes to making a new character, since Bungie can read your account and know if you already beat the game already, they can just be like, oh, if you make a new character, you don't have to go through that journey no more. Because they know you're good at the game now. They'll just throw you inside the beginning mission, you beat it, then they're like, okay, you go wherever you want now. Like they do right now, right? You go wherever you want to go now. You want to make a Titan or Warlock now after you just did your whole journey of Hunter? Okay. First mission, this the abilities of the Warlock and stuff. Since you know the fundamentals of the game, here, we just finna throw you into the world, you know everything now. Go get your abilities and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's how they could do it. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. I think it was a very interesting talk. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast type of flow. You know, like I said, listen to it while you're at work or something. Just chilling. Tapping in the combo. Comment below in the combo and stuff. You know. Anyway, love you guys. Appreciate you guys always. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. And until next time, stay up.